discuss the needs of our community and figure that out. Please bless the council as they make decisions that they'll do those things that are best for the city and for our community. We pray that out. Please bless us as we go about our business, that we'll serve the people and do our best in Jesus Christ.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We'll first approve our consent agenda and minutes from our July 25th, 2023 regular meeting. If we have a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the consent agenda for the July 25th meeting.
I'll second it.
All right, that's a motion by Councilmember Grover, seconded by Councilmember Bowers.
It should be the August 8th meeting.
August 8th meeting. I'm like July
The
was.
minutes are correct. It's just
The August 8th meetings.
Okay, a motion by Councilmember Grover, seconded by Councilmember Bowers for the August 8th minutes and tonight's consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. That is everybody. Any conflicts of interest on this super full agenda tonight? If not, Brett, do you want to speak to us from the public? No? All right. Or Nicole? James? Anybody? All right. You can't beg too much, I guess. Reports. Was I in Wyoming last week? Was that? So I was at the UAMPS board meetings and conference last week. That was in Wyoming. It went well. There is a lot of stuff going on with the carbon-free power project still, with the main thing of they're just trying to get up to the subscription. They're trying to get a few other subscription pieces filled before they hit the, I think it was October date. So they're still working on that. Nothing really for us to do until then. And then they'll come back and say, hey, do you guys still want to do this? And we'll have to decide at that point if we're still in or not. But
close to getting their subscription.
yeah, and they were just, and I think some more of the cities are going to buy more. I don't think we really have a need to, like, we don't use that much. And I think we added 2 hours a little bit in between one of the times that we could. And I don't really feel like we need to, I don't know. We don't use a lot. So we're not one of those big players anyway, that even if we bought more would make a big difference. So, yeah, I think that was, I mean, the highlight of it was a lot of the carbon-free stuff. A lot of cities are kind of gearing up for electric vehicles because of the cells and different things in those, but I don't see us really putting in electric charging stations out front or anything. So I think we're kind of okay there. And then I was just going to share what I know on the council for the project status report. The wellness center sprinkling system and showers, the sprinkling system portion of it is completed. They were just going to work on a few cleanup things. I went down and met with, I can't remember his name now, with Trihurst. Is it Trihurst? That's okay. That's doing it. The Hearst kid. Anyways, yes. And they're going to start the showers the week after the pool closes. So the pool will close and then they'll start that so that they can take all of the material out of the pool so that they're not disrupting the flow through the rec part of it. The deep well, they are taking like the sound barrier thing down. I'm kind of wrapping that up, waiting on some reports so that they can kind of wrap some of those things up.
They have an idea of how much water we have there.
I haven't seen I haven't seen that in any of the emails that I get. Scoop might have a better idea. I guess he's been super involved in that, but on the emails that I get, because they send them, I read through them and a lot of it's over my head because it's a lot of engineering terms and things like that, but they haven't sent any kind of report that I've seen as far as that goes. Pickleball court, we kind of discussed this a little bit, but they're the subcontractors for the cement, and I think this means who's finishing the cement is what they're trying to find. As soon as they find that or line that up, or they'll just do it themselves, they'll get that cement going. And then the general plan or the UDOT TPA grant for the general plan, I don't have an update on that. So any reports from the council?
I know that our grant on the TPA, they will return, so we should be seeing dollars on that.
I think I did see an email actually, now that you said that.
I was on that meeting from the last week.
Okay.
They did approve it.
Perfect.
And I spoke with Commissioner Stubb, and her and I would like to work together on a committee, and I'm not sure what to call it. It won't be anything completely official, but for two reasons. One, long-term housing and short-term housing. Actually, well, I guess this would both be under long-term housing, both rentals and new homes. We want to address the situation. There's nowhere for people to live. I mean, there's so many people looking for housing, and with interest rates up and housing prices up, it's just getting worse. People can't hire staff because they can't move into town. So anyway, I talked to her about that, and I've invited a council member from Monticello to join us. And I was just going to ask the community if anybody, I know that, Carol Laws has always had good input in that area. So if any of you would like to join, I'll let you know when the meetings are. You're welcome to come, but it's really specifically to address, is there anything we can do in conjunction with the state of Utah, who always offers to help and doesn't ever seem to have any real solutions for us, but with the state of Utah to work on this long-term rental housing situation.
What is there that we as a city council can really do?
Well, that's the question. I think we can work closely with the state of Utah, and that's what I asked Sylvia the same question. I said, what can you as the county even do? But there's some programs, and I think
I think there's zoning things you can do too, right, Brett?
I think our zoning's the hindrance. I think it's the cost of really think.
I mean, as far as limiting short-term rentals in town, though.
Well, we don't have any restrictions in our zoning for short-term rental.
Yeah.
and I think that's something that needs to be addressed too. Is
Well,
is that something we want to look at or not?
Well, I had local discussion with Dave about this, and he was waiting on the state to do some, I can't remember.
There was some stuff going through, like with the League of Cities and Towns and the last legislative session. They were trying to decide if it was something that they were gonna,
Yeah.
and they kind of put it off. And it's thought that it'll come back up this time around, but with the recent stuff around maybe elections and land stuff, I'm wondering if it's going to be put off again. I don't know.
We're talking quite a bit about trying to standardize something more uniform throughout the state.
Mm-hmm.
And the city league is a little concerned about that because they don't want the state telling the cities everything they can do. But at the same time, they want more of a uniform approach. And I think we're struggling with that because they have people pulling both ways and something. We want a more approach statewide, and other people say no. we want each city to be able to do, or county to be able to do their own thing. So,
You know, I feel like that they're wanting to pass legislation that affects how I can use my property. And I don't like that. Because I already went through it once with dog and animal ordinances. And I'm where I'm at because we had space and that's where we bought property. And I don't want to sell my property and I don't want somebody telling me what I can do with my property.
Well, and I completely agree with you. I think I would prefer the state to stay out of it as far as our own laws and zoning ordinances. I think the state needs to stay out of it. But are there things that the state can do as far as grants, funding, anything like that? I don't know. But I support that, Eric. I'd rather us as a city come together and determine what's best for us and our zoning laws than the state tell us what to do, for sure. But anyway, we have to, it's a situation that has to be addressed. I don't know, do we open up more mobile home parks? Is that a possibility?
That's property owner's choice on what they want to do with their property.
Well, there's zoning laws for mobile home parks. They're zoned specifically, and I don't know how many spaces we have for that. I'm just throwing ideas out there. That's what hopefully this committee will discuss and talk about. Maybe someone will have other ideas, and maybe we can eventually get Sylvia to go to the state with some options or figure out what they have to offer as well. But I'll let you guys know when it is. And we can't have more than 3 of us there without it announcing a meeting or having a meeting. But
Another resource, and I don't know, I'm pretty new to it, but I was recently appointed to the Aline Walker Housing Board. So I sit on that and they meet quarterly. You know, we pass stuff all the time for like grant funding and things for different parts of the state. I don't know what it takes to apply for that because I'm just learning.
And I think the
we've
county
got
gets,
Olin Walker funding here for Blue Mountain NA housing. And that was a step up from just putting some trailers in the yard, you know, with skirting around and put permanent foundations and stuff. And Olin Walker fund put some of those, you know, requirements on. If we're gonna fund this, we want to do this. But that was something we did years ago when housing was only half as bad as it is now.
right? No, it's true. My hope is that we can come up with something maybe we can bring back to a council meeting and have discussion on. Mayor, if you want to be there, I think that'd be great. And I know the county gets some small funding from this. You know, if you don't meet this requirement of subdivision, you have to pay this extra tax. I can't remember. There's some kind of funding out there the county gets from that, but it's like $50,000 a year. It's not enough to even make it a difference. But I'll let you guys know. We would like to attend next week. Do that within the next 30 days.
Okay. Any other reports for or from the council? If not, we'll go to our agenda items with the first one being the sanding equipment. Councilmember Grover.
We talked about needing to get barricades. Well, I'm gonna combine them both kind of here because it's kind of tied together. We needed barricades for security of the court. We've also talked about barricades or putting in the back of the standard truck at the airport for weight or traction. I've communicated with county supervisor. I said I don't have authority to move on this yet, but I will get it. Would you be willing to do some training? And he said that he was willing. I just need permission to move ahead to get those barricades so we can put them in the truck at the airport, and so we can put them in front of the Justice Court building. We can secure the building so a vehicle cannot drive into the building.
And in return, they get.
That's what we need to determine how much and what. The sander, I wanted the sander gone since I got on here. Because we don't use it, we're not going to use it, and it needs to be out of the truck. So what is the council willing to do, I guess? Brett, what is your suggestion with the sander?
So when we bought that truck, they required us to buy the sander as well. And we researched that, Kim and I looked it up, and the city paid $500 for the sander is all we paid for it.
What does the Jersey barrier cost?
I don't know, it'd be quite a bit. But what I'm saying is the city doesn't have much money in that sander. We were required to buy it. Terry clearly stated, he said, if the city ever got to a point when they needed a snowplow truck, we couldn't use that sander, it's too old, we buy a brand new one. So we're not doing any good saving it for the city road department or whatever, because they don't want it. It's in the way down there for our people that drive that truck in the airport. You've heard that too, haven't you, Chris?
Yeah,
They need the extra weight in the back of that thing. Last year when we had so much snow, they got stuck a few times and they had to use the blade on the front to break the truck loose to keep being able to keep going. So it would be very helpful if we could get 2 or 3 of those big concrete barriers put in the back of
Do you
that truck.
think 2 or 3 or just 2? Yeah, what are we looking at for the justice court, Judge? 2, 3?
And that would placate the state too, two barriers.
How long are they?
I imagine they're standard about 10 or 12 feet.
Take one go across, you probably would be better to get 3.
So we're looking at possibly 6 then? Am I okay to call on them? Or would we prefer staff to call
Call and find out the cost or?
them? No, to call and see what we can work out. Work out a deal.
So before, when he was really helped to do this, I know Eric and I have talked a little bit, and they've since bought a sander at the county.
They did, the county bought one and
They're not quite as hot to do the deal as they were a couple of years ago, but
he told me he was still willing to deal.
they were willing to go back and mow and then spray all of our sagebrush down there, because if we don't do something, our rabbit brush and our sagebrush is gonna go back and be a deterrent at the airport, people fear there. That's a problem. He also said they were willing, when they could work it in, to do some grading down there, because south of the west terminal building, we have an area that would want to have 5 big 100-foot by 100-foot hangers at some point. And there's a bunch of grading work that needs to be down there, and they said they're willing to do some grading work there, as well as spray, mow and spray all that rabbit brush again. If there's any way he was willing to do that stuff again, I think that'd be a heck of a deal for $500.
Yeah, I agree.
We also need the barriers.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Oh,
the
in
barriers
addition
too.
to.
They
That
got a
would be a
great
heck of
deal
a
on the
deal.
barriers, so they got those kind of like we did, as they were state surplus. And so they don't have a lot of money in them, but they still have equipment, they can lift it in our truck, they can lift the sander out. they can do
He
stuff.
told me when I did talk to him that he would bring his barricade mover down here and set them where we wanted them at the justice court.
He told me
And
he
can
took
you
the sander
excuse-
out and put it in the back of our truck for
Can
us.
you excuse my ignorance? Can you tell me exactly what the sander's used for? You drag it behind the
No,
truck?
it's in the bed of the truck, they fill it with sand, and on the state highway is how they scatter the salt and sand on the road.
You shovel it out?
Oh, it's got a
It's
whirling
got those
roll on
spread-
it.
Goes every 10 feet or so.
It's about a $20,000 piece of equipment, or more than that, brand new, but this thing's probably 15 or 20 years old. It's still operational, the county came down and checked it out, it has some repairs they need to do to it, but it is operational.
I mean, they have other machines that are probably the same vintage that they could use it for parts, nothing else.
It's worth seeing what they, yeah.
Totally agree.
Brett, is there any reason, with the purchase of that truck and that sander, does that tie us legally to, whether or not we can get rid of it for a certain entity?
They don't want you to turn around and sell it in a year, we've had that now for 3 years, so we've already met the requirement that way as far as owning it. And we can demonstrate, we can't use a sander at the airport because it's caused, what is that stuff they call fog?
Yeah, odd and
Fog on your runway, little bits of sand and rock and stuff. We can't have that at the airport, so we can't even use the sander at the airport. We can't use it there.
Yeah.
Sounds like a no-brainer. Okay. Am I okay to do it? Call him, talk to him, or would you prefer Brett do it?
I don't think it matters who does it.
Okay.
I don't care. That's just me though.
Okay.
This kid is a good deal.
We need a vote?
don't know that there's anything
Just
super
advice and consent.
specific to vote on. Yeah, I think advice and consent
It's
on
under
this is
$500,
fine.
so you probably, good if it was more money, I'd probably
Yeah.
see that over.
Yeah,
$500, probably not.
yeah.
And then now continue on with the Justice Court building. We need to make sure that it is back on the list for spray for bugs. And we also need to decide, come up with paint and whatever to get it retrofitted so we can be back in there. The court says they're going to be back in there anyway. This place is not working in the standard.
Well, and council has, I mean, we have discretionary funds. I think we could use towards that if we don't have other funds somewhere else.
This menagerie was funded that way.
I'll make a comment.
Yes.
Okay, I've already repaired what was the fault that started coming in. So realistically, you're looking at color paint.
And rain gutters.
And a window side and, what's the,
You still need the networking stuff put into,
Yes, the IT
the
stuff.
IT stuff?
the IT stuff.
That's probably gotta be pretty first off, doesn't it?
Well, it's gotta be done before we can go in. I'll be right honest with you, I don't wanna be there with the issue alone, I don't want her alone with it. So the camera system is gotta be working.
The cameras are working.
What is that?
The cameras are working.
They're working, you watch
Yeah,
them?
I'm really working. I think
But
the instructors all there.
who watches, do you record them or?
It
It's
has
just a
a
live
time lapse.
feed.
There's a live feed, but it'll go back
Yeah, I can go
for,
back to it.
Does the camera on, go ahead, door really, that camera on.
A Ring doorbell. Yeah.
They still talks to somebody.
I don't know. I don't know where that's connected to.
Does that show people coming to the door? And is that on the, you see that? So will it be to where the people can see that? See, that's the thing, but she needs to be able to see what's there.
yeah, I'm sure, I would guess the IT. will-
That's what I say, I think they could come down and, you know, the phones have got to move, phones back up. Everything was working, I'll be plug and play for the
Is there like a pace lock window in a hole in the door that people could put money through for location?
No, the best case scenario, and I have no idea what it costs, would be a window in, take that window out, put you in the bank or theater or someplace else, where she can go there, have contact, slip it out. But right now, the only way she can do it is she has to slide a window over it.
Does she have to be there to receive the money? Does she have to be there to receive the money?
They get most of it in the mail, but there's always, you know, I don't know how many times she goes out to figure out. Out there, sometimes she doesn't go out, sometimes she might go out one or two times. The thing that's gonna change is the court is required to be open to the public 2 hours a day. And so to try to meet some of the other requirements the court puts on this, it's gonna be, like here, she's open all day long, so she gets started on something, she has to not do it, so. But to meet the requirements of the state, the court system falls and they become a person for 2 hours.
What, 2 hours or is she wanting to be open?
I'm not sure what she could do, she would, you know, I told her till, till we get her an assistant, where she has some help. I try to be as important as 2 hours a day, to meet my requirements. Try to be there, we still learn. So that 2 hours a day be there, but by law, I can't touch the money, I can't do it. That's. The mail will probably still have to be open down here, there's probably just a time she has to do it. To say that is a law-proof idea, like we try to pull that some stuff for sure, because it's not, it's not his drawback. But, we're just gonna have to try to work it out. She'll probably be open, I'm guessing probably from 9 to 11 or something like that. But then that gets her the rest of the day to do all the other things.
I remember in one of our audits about 5 or 6 years ago, one of the findings was that they were opening the mail by themselves and receiving money that way. So I think they have to have two people there when they open any mail with money.
When they was here the other day, so they was here for 2 days.
Yeah, we just had the audit
Yelling
done.
up stuff. This is a walk. You know, every once in a while she received the mail, she, you know, there's a couple of things that come out. It's frustrating because there are so many things that like taking the money. She has to put money immediately, then sometime we walk it. So we really need to get a lock box. She puts in her pocket. Right now she puts in a zipper bag and puts it in her purse. Come out of fireproof. So I mean, there's things that's going to come out of this audit. We're always going to have to deal with it. A little more stuff.
You're on the agenda, so you're.
Well, but you know, it's like I say, there's a couple of things I think we really need right off the bat. And I looked on, you could buy a fireproof lock box, $20 at Home Depot or $50. They'll be the standard of it. Right now, there's a metal box up there, but nobody has a key.
The box is there. It's fine.
Does it have plugs in it?
We don't know. It doesn't have a key.
Like I say, there's just a few of these things that's going to come about that has to happen, but we're doing our best not to put a financial burden on the city, where you're at right now in the budget. But there are a couple of things. Like I say, I wish somebody researched find out what the television's cost, because that would be the most ideal situation where she would have to, even if we had two of them, they'll have to open.
They'll have to open the door and put themselves at risk. I wouldn't think they would be.
The windows themselves, I don't think are expensive. It's the installation around them. From working at the, I've worked at a bank before, and I think that's where it.
Well, we sure don't have bulletproof glass in that.
That's what BB got, jack the window.
Yeah. That, you know, it's interesting enough in this, security plans, it doesn't say that. It says you can't see through it, and one of the recommendations we have is to put film on there so it's shattered, put glass shards in the hole that somebody can use. Anyhow, realistically, a paint job, lay
Yeah.
together, fix the window, and whatever we have to do with that. Smart door that talks to everybody and, you know, gives up with any IT people. The IT people, they probably take care of the doorbell and the phone system and make sure that.
Sounds good. I would recommend that we add this to either to the budget
Project.
meeting next year or capital improvements. I don't know if we need that much money, but capital improvements. So that we can look at the budget for a full, renovation in our budget next year.
But right,
But
yeah,
for right now,
we
yeah,
need to get
use council funds.
things to go. Who,
I just want to interject one other thing. We're coming up to court, your town court recertification. And it will come to us sometime October, November. It has to be done by the end of the year. With that, it has to, there's quite a checklist that I have to check off to certify that we are doing such. There has to be a letter from our attorney stating he agrees to, I mean, you've got stuff in your files and you see what's been done before. And it has to, then I have to sign it, has to be approved by the legal counsel, the process, that's coming up. The one that concerns me, that I'm gonna have a hard time signing my name to, that I don't know how we can bridge it, it's gotta happen to me. And that says, that as the judge and I have sat down and discussed the justice court, its operation, its financial needs, its budget, and so realistically, back in budget time, the judge should have been involved in the budget process. And so it's, I've got a talk to somebody, because right now I don't feel confident, comfortable deciding, and I went through that process because I did. That's what was last month on the city council. So, I think that, so anyhow, there's some things that I think we need to work closely together on the next couple of months to make sure that we can honestly and truthfully actually.
I think in the past, the judge has not been in here for years, to be honest with you, and I think it's great that you're here and I do think there should be, so that what happened with this situation doesn't happen again. I think there should be more involvement with council, but I think they've always done it with Kim Palmer in the past, and that's kind of how they went through that process. That's my understanding anyway.
So for now, how do we need to get this paint job done and this other stuff done?
I'll just, at staff meeting, which I don't even know if, we'll have a staff meeting next week on Tuesday when we normally would have them. And we'll just get a punch list of stuff that needs to be happening and see who we can get on what items of the list and
And I
start
will
working on it.
I will get with EJ at the county and see what they're willing to do.
Yep, I'll start working on the list of things as far as like the paint and the window and
I'm sure we'll have to order the
Thanks.
window from probably Jones Paint. Glass could be a good place to start. And they probably even have the film that we need to put up to keep the glass from coming in if it does get broken.
yeah. So I'll work on that next at our meeting on Tuesday next week.
And also, when I said that, Kristen, I think you should be at the budget meeting. So
What's that?
I think you should be at the budget meeting. They just never have come before, so just so you're aware.
The sad reality for the last, 2-3 years, Hazel and I have been friends for a long time, so I'm not trying to point under the bus or say anything derogatory about him anyway, but realistically, he wasn't that good here. Just come down on Wednesday, take care of what you do, and go home.
No, I think
Good.
I think when you come together and make things work, you make things better. So I think that we're headed the right direction. So I appreciate it.
Those are the only things that I had.
Okay.
Thanks, council.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
I've done that for a lot of years. You guys stay here all the time.
thank you. All right. So it sounds like we got some direction and things on those two. We're good there. So we'll have some closed session items. We have a few. I wrote them down so I'd get them all. So we'll do a closed session for, I guess, 3 topics: strategy for property, professional competence, and pending litigation. So if I have a motion to go into closed session for those things.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Nilton, seconded by Councilmember Grover to go into closed session. All in favor?
Aye.
That is everybody. We'll go into closed session here in just a minute.
Oh, good.
We need to stay.
We'll